with what. So definitely, if you haven't already had the quiz, it will be on there, like I told you last time I was here. Quick, we just said that. In articulation, where 2 or more bones meet. Okay, so you have lots and lots and lots of joints in your body. Your sutures, where your skull bones come together, those are joints. Most of the joints you think of, shoulder joints, elbows, hips, knees. A lot of different types of joints in the body. Which is really important, especially the ones that are the movable joints, help you with movement, give you shape. You're going to see with the joints, we're going to talk about ligaments and tendons and muscles, especially once you get to lab. You're going to see how everything's kind of fitting together and held together. So you'll see that. You'll see later on this semester the muscles and how they cross these joints, the movable joints. So by the end of the semester, all of this will eventually build on each other and come up over and over throughout the rest of the semester. So we're going to classify joints 2 different ways. We have functional classifications and structural classifications. So we can look at how much movement's at a joint, or we can classify by what's holding the joints together. So it just sort of depends. So the functional classification, we're looking at the amount of movement at a joint. Is there no movement, little movement? Lots of movement. Okay, so we'll look at these 3 different ones. I think they're all in your notes, and we'll go through them pretty fast. Synarthroses, non-movable joints. So ones like your sutures, your skull bones aren't moving. At least I hope they're not. Maybe you get surgery or something. They might for a minute until everything heals. Then we have amphiarthroses, slightly movable joints. So one, your acromioclavicular, where your clavicle and acromion process meet at the tip of your shoulder. There's a little bit of movement at that joint, not a lot, but a little bit. And then diarthroses are going to be very movable, freely movable joints. Ones you usually think of, like your glenohumeral shoulder joint, your wrist, fingers, ankles, knees. So quite a few diarthroses in the body that you typically think about. How to remember these? They're kind of funny words. I mean, it tells you it's a joint in the words. Arthroses, we're talking about an articulation. Someone said that they remember diarthroses when you die, your soul is free. So they're freely movable joints. Nah, it's a little more morbid. Someone else was a little more, I guess, funnier. You have diarrhea, so freely flowing. Diarthroses, freely movable. However you want to remember, that's fine. Amphiarthroses, like slightly movable amphiarthroses. And sin, S-I-N, means without movement. So hopefully those will be easy for you to remember. Then we have structural classifications. We look at what's binding the bones together. So it could be collagen, could be cartilage, could have lots of ligaments and different structures. So we'll talk about first fibrous joints. We have bones held together by collagen fibers. So sutures are definitely one of those. We'll also see a syndesmosis and gummosis. Any pre-dental students? Anyone? Well, like the only thing that we ever talk about that has anything to do with dentistry, we'll see a tooth joint. So the sutures, you guys are lucky 3100, so you get all this plus italicized stuff. Sutures, they're joined together by connective tissue, so bones of the skull, mostly bones of the skull. Definitely have those sutures holding those bones together. Okay, so you've seen these in lab, you probably named quite a few of those in the skull. Right. A syndesmosis has a ligament between the bones, and you guys might see this. Definitely if you go to med school, you'll see it better because you dissect further down than we do in our class. But one example is the radial ulnar joint. There is a syndesmosis in between that joint. So it kind of looks like this. It's more like a membrane in between the two bones. You have one with the tibia and fibula also. Okay, so that's our syndesmosis joint. You should have a membrane structure between the two bones. And then gomphosis, this is for a dentist. We have a tooth joint. Okay, now your periodontal ligaments are helping hold your tooth in place. So you can see tooth sitting down in the bone and lots of these little periodontal ligaments holding it where it should be. Did you guys make notes from that? Yeah. As that tooth underneath is growing, it's going to start pushing it up and tearing a lot of that stuff slowly, so it shouldn't be painful as it's coming out usually. But with the grown teeth, these are very strong ligaments compared to children. All right, cartilaginous joints. What do you think are holding the bones together? Sweet cartilage. I like when things are nice and easy like that. Okay, there are quite a few places in your body you have cartilage holding bones together. So we'll see synchondroses and symphysis. You guys definitely have heard of a symphysis joint before. Where's the one you know? Pubic symphysis is definitely a symphysis joint. So the synchondroses, you have hyaline cartilage connecting the bones together. Okay, so your epiphyseal plate, what used to be the growth plate, that growth plate is an example of a synchondroses. Costal cartilage attaching your ribs to the sternum. That right there is your synchondroses. So think chondro, we have cartilage. All right, so again, those growth plates where we're attaching ribs to sternum, all synchondroses. Sorry, the symphysis. You still have some hyaline cartilage at these joints covering the ends of the bones, but it's not hyaline cartilage that's holding them together. Instead, with this one, we have fibrocartilage. So you've seen fibrocartilage at the pubic symphysis and the intervertebral discs. So those are symphysis joints. I know you have fibrocartilage at the knee, but that's not really considered a symphysis joint because of a lot of other structures that are associated with the knee that make it a synovial joint. Okay, so usually it's where we have, the fibrocartilage holding bones in place. Again, pubic symphysis, I already told you guys the story about the old guy that was here, his wife. Something's clicking down there. I told you guys that story last week, or Monday, okay. No, wasting your time. All right. So the rest of the time we focus on synovial joints because that's mostly what you guys are going to be working with, are synovial joints. In lab, more likely with patients who work with synovial joints. So we'll focus the rest of our time on those. Okay, so with a synovial joint, you always have this fluid-filled cavity. And there's always a little bit of space between the bones and it allows them to be very movable. Okay, so functionally, we can classify these as diarthroses. Okay, so synovial joints are also classified as diarthroses, but very movable. So again, shoulder, hip, knee, fingers, all of those very movable joints are synovial joints. All of your synovial joints have these 5 things. They have an articular cartilage, so that cartilage is the ends of the long bones. You're going to have synovial cavity with synovial fluid inside. You're going to have a joint capsule with 2 different layers and reinforcing ligaments to hold the bones together and in place. Okay, so articular cartilage, we've already talked about this. I just said we find it at the ends of long bones. So what type of cartilage is this? Hyaline cartilage. Good. So articular cartilage is just now our fancy name for the cartilage at the ends of long bones. Okay, so you can call it articular cartilage or cartilage at the ends of long bones. And it's made of hyaline cartilage. You're gonna get that nice smooth surface so that as you're moving your joint, a little more comfortable, reduces friction a little bit, along with the synovial fluid, and also a little tiny bit of shock absorption. Okay, so with our little cartoon picture, we have 2 bones coming together, and at the ends of those bones, we have articular cartilage. Again, it's made of what type of cartilage? Hyaline. So if that's a test question you got, for sure. You've asked it like 3 times already, and probably again a little bit later. All right, so articular cartilage at the ends of the bones. With this, what joint do you see here? What was it? Good, glenohumeral. So we have a frontal section of glenohumeral joints. So someone's cut someone's shoulder into front and back parts. You can see what is this structure? You guys are so quiet, I hear your problems. Good. Epiphumerus. So this is our good glenoid fossa of scapula. Okay, so you can see some nice articular cartilage right along the end of that long bone. We're also going to have a joint cavity filled with synovial fluids. You can call it joint cavity or synovial cavity, either one's fine. But inside you find synovial fluid, which is very helpful for the joint to reduce friction, make movement easier. Okay, so that cavity is going to be a nice closed-in space. Okay, so in between the bones, again, you got a cavity, fluid-filled space. Synovial fluid, again, is there to reduce friction. It's also there to nourish the cartilage cells. Remember, cartilage was avascular, so it didn't have a direct blood supply, so we have to have some way to get nutrients, and one way here is the synovial fluid. In lab, we won't actually see synovial fluid unless you do a dissection course. Because most of our joints we've already opened up so we can see structures inside the joints. But if you take the dissection course, after you're done with this and do really, really well, maybe you'll want to dissect with me. We do open some of the joint cavities in dissection. And the synovial fluid is one of the really cool things, gross and cool at the same time. If you touch it, it's kind of slimy, sticky stuff. It's gross, and every time I have to like toss my gloves because I can't touch anything else after it because it's stuck to my gloves. But it's a nice lubricating fluid to kind of make that a nice frictionless movement when you're moving your joints. Right, so again, joint cavities filled with synovial fluid. Knee joint's one that really holds it in well. And now we always see the synovial fluid when we open the knee cavity, or knee joint. All right, so to hold everything in that joint, we need a capsule around it. So we have a joint capsule. It's going to be made of two different layers. We have a fibrous outer capsule, and then on the inside we have a synovial membrane to help make synovial fluid. So the fibrous capsule, outer layer. So pretty much you have connective tissue going all the way around these synovial joints to keep the synovial fluid in. Also is nice there to help with kind of maintaining that joint structure. And then the synovial membrane is the inside making the synovial fluid. So with our little cartoon picture, you have joint capsule. Outer, again, is fibrous capsule. Okay, so it's made of what type of tissue? Yeah, simple connective tissue. And then the inside layer is called what? It's synovial membrane. What is it making? Good, synovial fluid. Why do we have synovial fluid? Good, big thing, reduce friction. All right. Last thing is always associated with synovial joints, reinforcing ligaments. These are holding bone to bone. They're going to strengthen and stabilize the joint, hold the bones together. You don't want to move these joints and your bones just move away from each other. Okay, that's not helpful. So you're always going to see ligaments with these joints. Next week in lab, you guys will start working with the pro sections. You will see a shoulder joint. You'll see the ligaments associated with that. The knee's really cool. I think that's the hardest and easiest at the same time to learn. There's a lot of ligaments, but they're easy to see and identify on the knees, so I think you guys will like knee joint next week. But sometimes those reinforcing ligaments will actually become part of that fibrous capsule and fuse with it. So you'll see that with the hip joint. The fibrous capsule and the ligaments are all fused together. That's actually one reason where you keep the ligaments of the hip really easy for you guys and not ask you to identify all the different parts. Because since it's fused with that joint capsule, it's pretty hard to pick out the different